What is up, guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Monoposto Driver Career Mode. And today we have episode number 77 for the 2026 Spanish Grand Prix. If you guys did miss the previous episode at Imola, then be sure to go and check that one out. That was a very interesting video, and I'm going to spoil it now. So if you've not seen it, go away, and I'll be right here when you come back. Anyway, Fernando Alonso secured back-to-back victories for Aston Martin, cementing himself as the man to beat in this year's championship. Aston Martin looking so quick, so consistent. Audi also had a very strong weekend out in Imola. For myself, it was a bit of a mixed bag, bit of a disappointing qualifying session, followed by good recovery in the race. I did have a spin at one point, although we managed to bring it home in P4 with the fastest lap. So we come into the Spanish Grand Prix with a very kind of solid start to the season, of course, winning in Bahrain, and we're just looking to continue the momentum and our fight with Aston Martin in the Constructors' Championship. So without further ado, let's take a look at the grid. And I think it's safe to say qualifying went really well indeed, as I secure my second pole of this season and my second in 3 races. We just picked home hero Carlos Sainz to pole position in the Audi. Standout performance from Yuki Tsunoda, P3 in that Red Bull ahead of Stroll and Ocon. Max Verstappen also taking the ball back into the top 6. So, you know, maybe we're starting to see a bit of reinvigoration of pace from Red Bull this weekend. They looked very strong on Saturday. Fernando Alonso will be really disappointed to only be P8 at his home race in the best car. Norris P10 in the Audi, Gasly P11 in the McLaren, then the 2 Ferraris, Oscar Piastri only P15, Albon down in 16th place in the Mercedes. But as we've said, the whole grid's covered by less than a second, so it's so close, and you know, the margins are so fine that one tiny mistake in qualifying can cost you multiple places. That's the kind of grid, that's the kind of stage we're at in 2026. But as we're taking to the front of the grid for the second time this season, let's see if we can try and convert that into our second win, as we're now revving up to 5 red lights for the 2026 Spanish Grand Prix. And after a very long hold, it felt like we're underway, and Carlos Sainz immediately up into the lead of his home race. It's not been a good start for me. The tyre's a bit cold, it looks like, up into ERS. But look at Stroll on the right-hand side as well. He's going to go for the lead of the race. Yuki Tsunoda going on my inside. I'm going to try and hold it on the left-hand side. That turns to the inside through turn 2. Looks like we might be able to keep P3 ahead of the Japanese driver. But I made contact with Sainz. Through goes the Red Bull, and we're down into P4. It's been an absolutely abysmal start. Not what we needed in this race at all. Tsunoda's made a move for P2. Meanwhile, Stroll has gone from P4 up into the lead of the race. Round the outside though, and all of a sudden that's a fabulous double overtake from me there to get back into P2. We've dispatched Sainz and Tsunoda there and killed 2 birds with 1 stone. So now I'm free to chase after Stroll, and by the end of lap 2, I'm still here, you know, just following the Canadian driver, but the gap is building up behind. Almost 3 seconds now to Yuki Tsunoda, but look at this, ERS and Slipstream. I'm not hanging around, I want my lead back, as we're going to try and go side by side with the Aston Martin into turn 1. I have the inside line, Stroll backs out of it, or does he? No, he's going to try and come back all the way around the outside of turn 3, but I have the inside line, the racing line, and the Canadian driver is forced to back down for the time being. Wow, what a start, but we don't want to battle too much because the gap that we've built out will just be totally eroded otherwise, as I've panicked a bit there under the pressure. That's my first warning for track limits. Don't want too many more of those, please, otherwise I'll be getting a penalty. There's another one. So clearly the pressure's getting to me. Stroll only 2 tenths behind now. He's really trying to see if he can have a look, and we're still he's still very closely following me on lap 4. The soft tyres are now wearing out, as you can see, and Stroll, in fact, he's there on the left hand side and he's through. That's it. So I've cracked under the pressure, I've understeered massively, but because I'm so slow, Fernando Alonso's now climbed up into P3, so he's had a good start as well. Clearly out to make amends for his disappointing qualifying, and now he's only 1.2 behind. So the Red Bull's got very slow race pace, as we've seen this season. Meanwhile, I'm going for the lead again. DRS wide open, wheel to wheel, up the inside of Lance Stroll, leave some space, but I'm going to take the lead back. This is brilliant racing But don't forget, all of this squabbling is just going to allow the championship leader Fernando Alonso back into play, and that's not what we want. Stroll goes back through with a bit of ERS usage. Oh my word, this is brilliant racing with the Aston Martins here in Spain. This is turning into an absolute treat of a Grand Prix for the neutrals. I'm just unfortunately going to have to tuck in behind the Canadian driver for now. Although I think, seeing as Stroll has re-overtaken me and my tyres are wearing out, I'm going to look to try and make a pit stop at the end of this lap. So again, getting a little bit out of shape in the middle sector. The gap to Alonso now just 0.7 of a second. So as I said before, he's got ahead of Tsunoda and pulled out a gap. So although Tsunoda managed to qualify really high up, we know the race pace of the Red Bull this year is not good. So he's rapidly fallen behind the Alpine and the Aston Martin, myself and, Alonso and Stroll, and that's simply because we've just got the best cars. Anyway, into the pits we come now for the first time. Tsunoda is also coming in. You can see the Red Bull mechanics preparing to change his tyres as we're now going all the way down to our pit box, which is near the end of the pit lane. Don't forget what a turnaround it's been for Alpine this year. Onto the medium tyres I go, and we're going to see what kind of an outlap we can have, basically. Don't forget, Alonso stayed out, but no, the pit limiter is because of the Audi car has ghosted. I think it's it's Lando Norris. So meanwhile, there's a car who's going through on the left-hand side there. Not sure who that is, but Norris has ghosted through me again there. Blimey, he's using ERS off the pit exit. So that's really weird. I've never seen the AI do that before. So obviously, I was quite frustrated by that. You can see the red mist descending now, hogging the inside curb. ERS usage. We're going to fly back past Logan Sargent as well, the Williams driver. I don't think has made a pit stop yet. And as my tyres are now nicely coming up to temperature by the end of the first sector, I have got a bit of clean air to push into before I catch up to the Ford of Nick de Vries. But that's not what I wanted. Again, another moment where I've just kind of cracked under pressure, I guess, really trying to reel in the gap to the cars in front of me. I guess I was just still a little bit cross that Norris had managed to kind of cheat his way past me there. We have managed to catch up to the Dutch driver, though lots of drivers have pitted as we're now starting lap 7. I still have the fastest lap to my name. That's a little bit of a corner cut. I was a bit reluctant to do that there. Again, scared I was probably going to get another track limits warning. So yeah, you can see this is not looking good for my race. What's even worse is that Alonso's come out in front of me, so I've been overcut by the Aston Martin. Again, that's what I was saying, Norris managing to slow me up and then running wide and trying to get past the cars. That's effectively what undid my race strategy. So I'm now just going to have to try and use the pace I clearly showed on Saturday to get pole, to try and catch back up to these guys. That's another tyre in the gravel there. So I don't know what it is. I'm just not quite finding the rhythm on Sunday as I did when I went to get pole position. I've now got DRS, and with a bit of battery, that's a fairly straightforward move on Dennis Hauger to move back into the top 5 again onto the grass. This is quite unusual. I just seem to be losing all sense of composure, and it shows because I've just picked up another track limit warning. I've really got to be careful now. One more of those and I will be getting a 5-second time penalty coming my way, and that is not what we want. But notice the radio message, and indeed just a few corners later the rain has come out of nowhere. This was not forecast at all. Obviously, if I'd have known, I'd have started on the hards and stretched to the rain. But now that means obviously we're going to have to come into the pits again, and because this is the first race on Monoposto 2024, there is now significantly reduced grip in the wet weather. I've had zero practice for the rain, so this is going to be interesting. Interestingly, the Aston Martins are stacking, so because I'm ahead of Ocon, I might get a chance to jump Alonso here if the team can be quick. Change onto the inters, but I've been held for Alonso, and then Ocon's just arriving into the pit lane now, so we didn't quite get a chance to jump Fernando Alonso there, which is disappointing. But now I'm really going to be careful because I was a bit scared because I'd seen obviously that there's much less grip in the rain now, so I was really cautious for the first couple of laps, trying to find the limit, settle down into a rhythm before I then tried to kind of push on. And that's obvious from the first couple of laps really, is the fact that Carlos Sainz and the Audi was just all over the back of me. I couldn't do anything about it. I was just kind of trying to defend my position, and look, Alonso's already kind of 5 seconds down the road, so he's totally checked out of this one. Meanwhile, I'm just trying to also just digest what's happened because the rain just came out of nowhere. We just had the radio message as well, and now by the time we're on to lap 12, I've caught up to Teo Pourchaire in the Alfa Romeo Penske, who I think he clearly never made a pit stop in the first place and really benefited from that. I've now caught him up and overtaken him on track to go up into P4. One man who never pitted before the rain is Charles Leclerc. who unfortunately has just lost the lead as we're starting the final lap of the race. Nothing else happened. Leclerc was leading because Ferrari have had a blinder. I don't know why. They must have maybe known that the rain was coming. I don't know. But now you can see the rain stopped on the final lap. But it looks as if, crucially, Leclerc might be able to hold off Alonso and get a fabulous P2 for Ferrari, given their, well, quite frankly, terrible car this year. They'll be absolutely delighted with this result. Meanwhile, my tyres are overheating and I'm being swarmed by Pourchaire and Sainz, so I just need to try and bring home this P4 without messing anything up. However, now, coming through the final couple of corners, Formula 1 is about to get the newest name onto its Grand Prix winners list. Coming out of the final corner, it's been a really mature drive from this young man, and Lance Stroll is a winner in Formula 1 as he takes victory at the Spanish Grand Prix. The Spanish fans will be pleased that Aston Martin won, although it's probably not the driver they would have liked, it's safe to say. But a fantastic drive from Stroll. He deserves his first career F1 win, and I think it was bound to happen this year given the car that Aston Martin have developed. So really well done to him. Let's hear what he has to say on the radio.
That's it, P1, P1.
Yes, boys! Wow! Let's go! Let's go! Yes!
So you need to park up by the one board in Park Fairmont.
Let's go!
So that's a third win on the bounce for Aston Martin. Leclerc does hold off Alonso. That really helps me in the championship as it robs Alonso of an extra 3 points and helps us in the constructors. Meanwhile, with ERS usage, I'm just gonna keep P4. Oh, that was intense. And by the end, I finished 18 seconds behind Alonso. I don't know how that gap came out. I think on the last lap, I really lost a lot of time because obviously the AI, I guess they're coded to be perfect, but because the inters were just overheating so much, it was so hard to control the car when the track just completely dried out. That's what I will say. The weather changes in this race were really dramatic. They were really, really quick. But to be honest, that's just about it for this race. Norris had a dismal Grand Prix, ended up in P19, and Yuki Tsunoda didn't even score points after all that. Verstappen P7, my teammate Ocon only P8, not ideal. Russell, I think, gets his first point of the season in P9, so maybe they'll be trying to shake off the first few races of the season because they were really not good for George Russell and Mercedes. But maybe now, I guess, with the midfield season, the European calendar coming up, they can try and bring some upgrades and look to develop that car and get closer to the front of the grid once again. But there is the podium, and I guess that's kind of all there is to say. You know, I mean, Pourchaire, some more fantastic points for Alfa Romeo Penske. Sainz, solid performance at his home race, not where he would have liked to finish. But yeah, considering we started from pole, P4's not ideal, but I think it's the best I could have done today given the circumstances. We just weren't as quick as the Aston Martin, and we need to go away and come back before our first ever 35% race in Monaco next time and come back fighting with a way to beat Aston Martin, because they're just looking so quick. But that's it for today's video. I do hope you enjoyed it again. I'm sorry for the lengthy break between uploads. I do hope you're still enjoying this series and trying to keep up with it nevertheless. Please don't forget to like, share and subscribe the video. Your support really helps me out. We're well on the way to 1,000 subscribers now. Can't believe I'm saying that. And hopefully, if we keep pushing, we'll get there very soon. Thanks for watching, and until next time, goodbye.